Nothing contained in this podcast should be considered a substitute for professional medical advice. This content does not represent our respective employers and is purely the opinion of the podcast hosts. We are not your personal medical providers. Sorry, friends. So, if you have concerns or seeking a diagnosis or treatment, please seek individual advice from a healthcare provider in your area. We are not liable for any risks associated with acting upon the information contained in this podcast. This is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only, so enjoy the ride.
Please drink responsibly and in moderation. Before drinking, please be sure to be of the legal drinking age for your country. We do not encourage the misuse of alcohol.
Welcome to Medical Media Mixer, the perfect cocktail. I'm Nicole Peniston, psychologist.
And I'm Tara Prisco, physician assistant. All right, lady. Saw you a few days ago.
You did? Oh, yes. I totally forgot. I was like, you didn't come to career day. You're not coming to the turkey tray.
I saw you at dinner.
I know. And it was funny because I even said, oh, I'll see you on Monday. And you're like, not in person. I'm like, so? And I forgot. It fell out of my head. I will say, though, I'd been to that restaurant before with Christy, but we just went for happy hour. And I felt like the food was better then because I was not okay in the tummy the next day.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, good. My sushi was good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. What did you have? You had soup and...
just grilled shrimp.
Oh, yeah, shrimp.
Yeah, but I was not okay. And unfortunately, I missed out on my friend Marcia's champagne brunch because I was not. I mean, I was not feeling able to leave a bathroom. And then I was like, even if I am, then I won't feel good drinking. So then it just won't be fun. So I didn't go. I feel bad though. Well, hopefully she had a good time.
Champagne brunch sounds fun.
She and I and her friend Heather went to champagne brunch for her birthday several years ago. I want to say maybe like 2022, 2023, and had an amazing time. All I remember is it was a beautiful place. The food was good. And I was pretty crunk. So I remember walking to the bathroom and getting lost. But we had a nice time. So.
It's always a good time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you saw the email box, but I have a little collab for an upcoming episode. Well, it's going to be in like probably July, but we can record it anytime. So there's an indie film artist who has a short that fits what my concept for this episode is, but I couldn't watch it because she's still doing like the film festival circuit. So I emailed for a link to it to see if she wanted to be on the episode, and it's going to be cool. So she sent me the link, so I have to watch it, and I'll plan the episode and we'll come up with some dates to
Should
record.
I also watch it?
Yeah, I think it'd be something. It's just a short. It's a horror short. So you'll see if you see the email from the person in there. So
interesting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that I was excited about. She like responded right away, and I was like, okay, yes, we can do this.
Nice.
Yeah, because we haven't done any other like interviewee type ones this year yet. So we did 2 last year,
and I have to still set up our on locations, which I have 2 or 3 in mind. I just have not reached out because I need to know what is happening in my own life in the next couple of weeks before I schedule us for anything, but we shall see. I'm not going to go into all of my personal business, but I do have to have surgery for those listening. And so I've been like eagerly anticipating like getting the date. And I thought I was going to get it on Friday and I didn't. And I was like so disappointed. I was like, but can't you just like tell me a day so I could plan it? And she's like, no, you have to do XYZ first. I'm like, but like, can we like pick one just so I know? And she was like,
I know
laughing.
what you mean though. Yeah. Trying to get like your head around it and then plan
not only that,
it.
like your schedule is probably similar to mine where like it changes every day. So like right now, I know this, and this date, I don't have anyone scheduled, so let's put something on the books then. But that can change in the next hour or 2 hours or tomorrow. And I'm like, I just want it planned so I can make
block it out.
So I can block it out for work because my goal is to have to move as few people as possible.
Of course.
Like, I want to be able to get everybody what they need and then do my own thing. But it's like the longer I put it off, the harder that is, especially because we're now like in our busy season. After spring break, end of school year is like a hot mess.
Oh, really?
Because everybody's rushing it in before the end of the school year. And it's a lot. And then I love teachers and you guys do so much, but I really hate when you're on spring break because then I can never get the teacher forms I need. And now I have like 4 reports that are on hold waiting for teacher reports. And yes, you guys need a break, but please do those forms when you come back so we can all move on with our lives. Please, please.
I mean, I could never do what they do though. Like I have 5 minutes with a group full of children trying to tell them to do something at the same time. I'm like, all right, I'm
Yeah, but
out.
you're like in mom mode. Where like
Yeah, but no, like even if you're like doing an event at the school, like even like when you're volunteering at a party or like,
because you're
they're
still a mom, you don't have that
whatever day,
title.
and you're trying to like, yeah, like I don't know, these kids are just wild. I couldn't do it. I could not.
I don't think I would want to, but
No, I mean, I
to each
like
his own.
kids on an individual level, but not on a
I like
mass group.
select children on a minimal level. No, honestly, I really like the kids that I work with, but I see them 3, maybe 4 times, and then they're on their way. So,
Right, exactly. I don't know. Interesting stuff.
I had a little girl, this was a while ago, who she came for it was for like testing. And normally I'll just do the intake with the parents, but she came along and she was like 9, so she could participate minimally. And like she just kept saying stuff and we were like vibing. And I said to her, I was like, are we the same person? She looks at me, doesn't even skip a beat. She's like, I think we might just be. And I was like, oh my God, it is me. We are the same
miniature
person.
form.
I know. It was weird. So like there are like some kids who are like really cool. And
Yeah.
I think children have always liked me because I just treat them like people.
Right. That's huge though. That really is when you don't like talk down to them and you just like, talk to them just like you would talk to anybody.
But I think that's my like only child showing through because like I always had to like be around adults.
Right.
So I just learned to talk to people as like adults. So I talk to kids like that. And like, of course, I'll use like smaller words or like be sillier, but like.
Right. But still, yeah, the fact that you're not like really like talking down, that you're just trying to like meet them on their level and like let's
it doesn't matter if you're 5 or you're 15 or you're 25 or you're 55. I'm going to be like, cool. So what are you into? Like what's up with that?
That's cute. I'm excited for BookCon this weekend.
Girl, over the weekend, I finally finished 2 books that I had started like months ago and never finished.
Okay.
And I'm really, really hoping to finish Vilest Things by Chloe Gong. That's the sequel to
the
one that you're reading. I don't know though, because I started it on the plane to Sedona in October and I spilled water all over my book and I lost my bookmark. So I don't know where I left off. So I may have to like restart that. And I don't know if that means I'll be able to finish it by Sunday.
See, I would just like look at a few pages. If it sounds familiar, jump ahead a few pages. I should keep doing that till I find it.
The problem was when I read the first book, I read it on the tail end of it just being released.
Right.
So like I kind of like got in a little bit late and then I was obsessed. So then I bought the new one immediately when it came out.
Right.
And then I didn't start it until a while. So I'm like
to remember the whole, yeah.
I need like a 2-minute Netflix preview of what happens last time on.
So what's funny is you could look up a YouTube video for something like that.
That's true.
You definitely can. Like you can find a quick little refresher because I did that for the TV show, but for Stranger Things to like remind me like where were we in this whole saga? When I started to watch the last season.
But that book was so good. Like I remember finishing it and like it's been a long time since I finished a book and I was like, I want more. And I remember closing that book and I was like, when does the next one come out? Because I need it now.
Yeah, I'm about 52%-ish. I have Kindle, so it tells me a percentage. So done with that one. But if I get some good reading in at night without falling asleep right away, I could finish it. But it depends on how quickly I fall asleep.
Yeah, I'm a weird reader, regardless of if it's a new book, an old book, when I started or whatever. When I go to read it, I set a goal and I'm like, I'm going to read 52 pages today.
Right.
And then like sometimes if I'm like in a flow, then I'll read more than that. But like I have to finish that number of pages. So like that might keep me on track. I just don't know. Like it depends on how late we finish tonight.
Right.
Because if I start fresh, if I start the book from the beginning, I have to read 67 pages tonight. I don't know if I'm going to be able to brain after 2 drinks and recording.
Yeah. I mean, my kids, it's funny too. Like my older one would be like, oh, I'm reading this many chapters. Like I don't pay attention when the chapters begin or end. I just read.
No, I do.
And wherever I start or stop, I start or stop. Especially because my habit has become reading and then like kind of my eyes get drifty and I just let my Kindle fall. And that's how I put myself to sleep. Like that is my routine, whether I'm here, whether I'm on vacation, whether I'm home, every single night I read to close my eyes. Like, wow, that's just my, that's
do that.
That's my sleep hygiene. That's what I do. Yeah.
My sleep hygiene needs to be blackout curtains, sound machine, eye mask. I can't have any sort of stimulation because like if I'm reading a book and I like it, I'm just going to want to keep reading and then I won't fall asleep.
Yeah. I have an eye mask somewhere. When we go to Alaska, it's going to be light out longer. I mean, usually cruise ships have really good blackout curtains, but just in case, I'm going to bring because I remember when we went to Iceland needing to bring that because it was like daylight till like 1 or 2 a.m. and it was like,
they have really nice weighted ones or scented ones. There's so many options.
I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that though, like on my eyes.
It's not as bad as you think, because I was hesitant at first, and now I love the little heated eye masks. Obsessed.
Yesterday I had to play the game. Am I having a detached retina or am I having an ocular migraine?
And the answer is hopefully neither.
It was an ocular migraine, but you get these flashing lights in the periphery and then the headache comes, and but like it lasted 20 minutes. It went away. Then the headache came. I was like, but I was like trying to like read or look at something in my phone, and it was like in my eye.
That's
like,
terrible.
Like, is my vitreous starting to detach? Because that can happen before
it can,
a retina,
and it happens to type A personalities like yourself. So there we go. I've only ever had one ocular migraine, and I actually just went blind in that eye for hours.
Yeah,
like completely blind. It was the weirdest feeling.
Scary as hell, and it's like,
and I drove. I drove myself to the hospital.
That's the thing. Like, am I having a stroke? Am I having a migraine? Is my retina detaching? Which is it?
So choose your own adventure.
I was like, why? And then I was like, I had ordered ice cream sundaes from this local place to the house. I'm like, give me my ice cream sundae. I'm going to bed.
That'll make you feel
done
better
with this world.
I thought I was having an ocular migraine, but it was just a regular migraine. But it started like right here. And I have really bad sinus issues. Like I definitely need to have sinus surgery. I've been told that for the past like 2 years. I just keep putting it off. And it was like starting right here, which normally it doesn't start in a very specific pinpoint place. I'm pointing above my eyebrow. If anyone,
yes, we have a verbal podcast.
We have a verbal podcast.
Audio, I mean verbal.
I mean, technically, yes, we're verbalizing.
It is that too.
But it happened in this one specific spot. And then I don't know if you've ever done this or if I'm just a weirdo. If I have like a bruise or like a spot that hurts, I continually push it, even though it hurts.
Yeah.
No, so then I'm just sitting there poking myself in the eye pain over and over. And I'm like, why does it hurt there? And I'm like, stop poking it. What's wrong with you? And it was like hours that I just kept poking
my
and then I finally took my migraine medication and went to bed.
See? Magic.
Okay, I think we need to start on topic.
Okay, yes.
I heard
this drink is good. I'm excited.
This drink is delicious. I was telling Tara before we started recording that we've made a lot of cocktails over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And I would say this is probably one of my favorite. Like I would drink this like weekly. I say weekly because I don't really drink like daily. So I would drink this like once a week or so. But it is called the Reforma cocktail.
Okay.
It is, and this is courtesy of Imbibe magazine, celebrating 20 years. That's what it says on their website. So it is 1 ounce of Blanco tequila, 1 ounce pear brandy, 3/4 of an ounce of fresh lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of honey syrup. There's a story about my honey syrup. 1/2 ounce of ginger syrup. You add it all to a shaker with ice, shake, and then straight into a coupe glass, and delicious.
That sounds good. So like a pear gingery thing.
Yeah, it's very light, refreshing. So I went through all of my stuff in my kitchen and my dining room area, my bar area, and I tossed a lot of stuff that was like old or like about to expire. And one of the things I tossed was my honey syrup because it was expired. So then I was like, well, crap, I need it for Monday. So I ordered some on Amazon. Now I know you could have made it, but I was like, I've used it for enough cocktails that it was worth buying the bottle. The bottle gets delivered on Sunday, April 12th, 2026. And the bottle says that it expired February 2nd, 2025.
Ah.
So I know it's just honey and sugar and water.
Right.
But still, I did get a refund for it. So
yeah.
So when you're ordering food off of Amazon, be careful, guys.
Be careful. Actually, there's both honey syrup in my next recipe and some ingredient I ordered from Amazon. So good luck. We'll see how that goes.
So as I said, the name of my cocktail is the Reforma. So you know what I'm going to talk about. How does that connect?
Reform.
Yes. Specifically Reform school documentaries. So there are several out there. I watched many of them. I forgot many of them, and so they didn't make it to the list. But my inspiration was the one, the only, the incomparable Paris Hilton. Because she has been very outspoken about her experiences in Provo, Utah, and some of the camps there or the reform schools there that have made the news due to their abuse. And she was really one of the most outspoken people about it. She's gone to Congress and helped pass legislature about how to make those places safer for kids. So she was kind of my inspiration. She talks about it a bit.
I kind of like her journey, though, that she went from like early 2000s, everybody thinks she's just a flake, to actually like doing, like something like that. I think that it shows like that was playing it up for the shows and whatever. But I mean, anyone who doesn't know the shows back with her and Nicole Richie.
Yes. So in her documentary, This is Paris, that came out in 2020, she talks in part about her experiences as being a former victim of the troubled teen industry, TTI. That's the abbreviation that's used a lot now, talking about that industry as a whole. But what I really loved about the documentary, one, you hear Paris's real voice.
Not her like high pitched,
which is not like her baby voice. It's actually like really husky and like kind of sexy and hot. But she talks really openly about her experiences. And there's a really, really touching scene where she talks with her mother about it, because her mother, even after all these years, only knew bits and pieces of it. And at this point, Paris was going to go to Congress and speak. And so she was really opening up that part of her life to her mother. And you could just see like her mother was terrified. And then you hear like the parental side of it, where she was like, you were in the news all the time. You were young, you were beautiful, you were out partying. We couldn't control you. And we thought we were going to lose you to that drug life, which, for context, this was when like the height of all those celebrities were ODing on drugs or were going out and getting involved in, all of these bad things. Her mother, Kathy Hilton of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and the Hilton Empire, obviously. But I love Kathy. She's a separate story, though. We're not going to talk about her today too much. But she kind of gives her side of it, was that they were just genuinely scared for their daughter. And they were told that this type of program would help her. And so they just trusted in the program. Now, also, you have to think about it. The Hiltons are mega millionaires. So if these super rich people are asking for help and someone is guaranteeing them help, and then they're paying a large amount, they're thinking this is a legit operation. These were not just like your typical, run-of-the-mill parents struggling with a troublesome teen. Right. These were very famous people in that same situation. And they're like, well, this is going to help, so we're going to do it. So you've probably heard, as many people have, how many of these industries work, where they literally kidnap the children from their home in the middle of the night.
Right. Like literally kidnap them and throw them in a van, essentially.
Yep. Put a sheet over their head or blindfold them and take them away. There's others that I don't know if it's better or worse, but where the children watch their parents watch them get taken away and like not stop them. Yeah. Because I know that in the documentary, This is Paris, she talks about thinking like she's legit being kidnapped and somebody's going to come and help her. And then she realizes that she's not being helped and that her parents had part of this after the fact. So she had gone to a series of different boarding schools, but the one that really made the most news was in Provo, Utah, where she experienced extreme abuse. And she was there with other people who were just like normal teenagers. Now, Paris Hilton was Paris Hilton when she was like 12. Right. So imagine like you get shipped off to this crappy ass place and you're sitting in your room and then freaking Paris Hilton walks in and is your roommate. Right. And you're probably like, okay, she's going to get us out. Like this is a TV show now. And then you're like, oh wait, no, it's not a TV show. Like she's stuck here too. So she goes not super into detail, but she does talk openly about how there was sexual abuse, there was physical abuse, there was emotional abuse that she experienced. And she really has used her platform as being a glamorous socialite to try to put an end to this, using her power for good in that way. So that is the documentary, This is Paris. They also said, which like I have issues with this because we also need to keep in mind, Paris is our age. Right. Paris isn't a baby anymore. She's like 40s, 45. Right. And so a lot of people were like, oh, this was a successful rebranding of her image. I'm like, she's like 38 years old now. Like she's not going to be the same teenager she was running the streets when she was 16. Like, it's not a rebranding. She's just grown up. Right. And like, yes, she's still Paris and she's silly and wears pink all the time and like has like that persona, but she's a person too.
But she's still a person. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I also fell in love with her other documentary, Paris in Love, when it was about her getting married.
That's cute.
And just like, she just seems like a really sweet, genuine person. And she's super fucking smart. Like you would never guess it by like her personality. She was always
played off as the dumb one.
Yeah, she always played that kind of dumb blonde role, but don't mess with Paris. Like she knows what's up. Like she's a smart cookie. I wish Paris, much like Lindsay and our other friends would put some arms across the world for Brittany, but I don't know. She's ready for that now.
No,
That's for
Britain's
another
not doing
episode.
so well.
Yeah. So that was one thing that I watched. There are several other shows. One on Netflix is called The Program, Cons, Cults, and Kidnapping, where it goes more into the troubled teen industry, talking about the academy at Ivy Ridge, which I believe was in
that's the
Vermont.
one I watched. Yes, I remember that one.
Yeah. Where like they break into the old school and like take pictures.
They take pictures and they go back and they reminisce about everything. Yes.
Yeah. And that one was really, and I've obviously never been in a situation like that. I say obviously because you've known me my entire high school and older career. But like I thought it was really upsetting when they're in like these rooms where they had been tortured or like sitting in the circle, like they used to have to be forced to sit in a circle. And I was like, I wasn't even there and I'm triggered. Like, how are you guys doing this?
I know.
And then they take pictures in like their old school uniforms and stuff like that. So that was a really interesting kind of first person account because it was a girl who had gone there and then several people she was there with were part of the documentary.
But it was, I think it was meant to sort of conquer it into like.
Yeah, it was their own sort of therapy.
Yeah, and therapeutic in a way.
Yeah, like nobody was forcing them to be there. They were there trying to work through their shit. But like watching it was really heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
There's another one that I feel like I watched a while ago, but I don't really remember it. And this was about the Challenger Foundation, which is called Hell Camp Teen Nightmare. Okay. And this was more in like the 80s when that market was really starting to take off, when we had things like Scared Straight, which I'll talk about in a minute, and some other things. So it was one of the first camps where people went, where this is more of that like wilderness outdoor camp thing that we've heard talked about before, where you have to walk out in the desert with like big packs full of rocks and stuff like that. And in this one, in this particular camp that they're talking about, some children died due to exposure, starvation, things like that. I want to say somebody died from water poisoning.
Okay, like
so that's when you're given too much water too quickly.
Drops.
Yeah. So there's a whole show about that where I don't know where it is now. I want to say it's also on Netflix currently. Yes, it is. It's on Netflix, called Hell Camp. So the fictionalized account, I can't find the other one I want to talk about, was the movie Wayward.
Yes, I watched that.
So do you want to give everyone a synopsis of Wayward?
No, because I'm not going to remember it all. I'm bad with remembering details.
So in Wayward, we meet Alex, who is a trans man and a young police officer.
And that actor, I looked up because I really loved them. And then I was looking up all the other things.
They've been in so many things, and they're a comedian, hilarious fucking person.
Yes, I love them.
Yeah. Mae Martin is the actor. Fabulous actor. Been in a lot of stuff. Usually plays like a lighter, more comedy role. This was a little bit darker than usual, but phenomenal. Alex is the character's name, and their spouse, Layla? No, Layla is the young girl. Sorry, I'm confusing the names.
And their spouse.
Who's the other one?
Who's pregnant?
Laura is the spouse.
There you go.
I was getting the names confused. So they moved back to a town called Tall Pines. And when Laura was a teen, she went to Tall Pines Academy, which is kind of like shrouded in mystery, where like when you first see it, you think it's like a boarding school, but then it's like, no, actually they don't take kids from outside the town. It's kids who are only in the town. But then these new kids essentially run away and come to town and get stuck at Tall Pines Academy, which I love them, those two young girls too. Abby and Leela, those were the ones I was confusing. They are also phenomenal actresses. But basically it's talking about why Tall Pines is sketchy as hell. And it gets kind of cloudy because it feels very much like reform school, like everyone's there was bad and has to be
and they
good.
all have to have those levels. You have to achieve this to get these privileges, and then
you tell on somebody else to get more points and blah, blah, blah. So kind of that whole setup. But then there's like this weird like cult aspect.
Yes.
Because Toni Collette is like
the leader.
Kind of, but not really. Her name is Evelyn in the show, but Toni Collette is fabulous. She's the head teacher. Right. I don't see her really teaching shit, but she's the head teacher. And then there's these weird like parts that are like kind of hypnosis like. There's a lot of weird shit happening. It goes on a total tangent that has nothing to do with any of this stuff, but Wayward. If you want to learn the fictionalized
and then
account,
all the people end up like staying in town, and they're all weird and creepy. Like they all live there.
Well, and then at the end, how it ends.
Yeah.
That Laura kind of takes over.
Yeah. It's a little weird.
It's a weird show. It's good though.
But interesting. It's very good. It is.
And that is also on Netflix. It's 8 episodes. So I have a lot of stuff here. So this all started back in the day with a little show, a little ditty, a little documentary called Scared Straight. And we have a personal connection to Scared Straight.
We do?
It was filmed in Rahway Prison.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yes, it was. They would take the kids there to show them,
Yep.
If you want to end up here.
Yep. And that's exactly the premise of Scared Straight, was they would take these troubled teens and they would take them to a prison, make them stay there for like a day or two, and meet these hardened criminals who would essentially like scare the shit out of them.
Yeah.
And hopefully scare them straight, make them want to do well after that. So that was just like the documentary, that was the premise. In the long run, it didn't really work. Somebody who was in the show, there was a follow-up called Scared Straight 20 years later that followed the teens. And one of them was like, yeah, I got scared and it was a life-changing experience, but I broke the law multiple times after that. And, didn't really stop me from doing the shit I was doing. Which they have found, studies have found that all of these sorts of situations, these camps, these, really traumatizing situations don't help these teens in the long run. If anything, it makes them worse when they get out because now they no longer trust their parents.
Is there like a
traumatized
shred of psychology that they're trying to grab onto? Is there some like concept that they're trying to?
Oh, yes. The concept that they're trying to latch into is the concept that our entire penal system was built upon. Right. Was that if you punish someone, they're now an example, and that will prevent them from doing future crimes, but also prevent other people from committing future crimes, which we have learned that is not how it works. That being said, it doesn't work for multiple reasons. It doesn't work because the penal system is inherently racist against marginalized groups. It doesn't work because we don't have the full wraparound support and aftercare when people are released. It doesn't work because people are not given opportunities to change their life outside of prison. And so it's a cycle. There's multiple reasons why it doesn't work. But I think at the core, this thought that if so-and-so does this and we make an example of them, I don't even know if that necessarily works anymore because our society has changed a lot. I think back in, 17, 18, early 1900s, yeah, that worked for people, but society was very different then. Right. And I don't know if we necessarily see ourselves and others in that way that would prevent us from doing the bad thing that somebody else did. The other part is that our system is supposed to be a rehabilitation system. We know that is also not happening.
No. Yeah.
So, but I think that was also the idea is if we can rehabilitate these young delinquents, we're going to prevent them from having problems. And so in 1978, there was a professor at Rutgers School of Criminal Justice who studied the Scared Straight program. He did a test with his own control group, and his study concluded that the children who attended Rahway were more likely to commit crimes than those who did not.
Lovely.
Which I feel like it's a parallel to what happens when young offenders go into prison for the first time. They tend to learn more skills.
That's true.
And learn new things and learn to do it better next time. Versus learning not to do it. Because if you think about it, you did wrong. I'm going to put you in this big ass building with a bunch of other people who did wrong. They're not all sitting around thinking about how they can do right.
Right.
That's not what they're doing there.
They're sharing their secrets about what to do.
Not only that, they're like commiserating with each other. Like, this sucks. I can't see my family. I can't do this. How am I going to get revenge? F the man. Like, they're commiserating over what happened to them versus talking about how do we fix what happened. And I think, again, that is both the culture inside the prison, but also we're not setting it up for it to be a different culture. So there's lots of issues. And then the big thing was that, in general, looking at these programs, that it's to follow the evidence of how we set people up for success versus these anecdotal things of, oh, this one person went to Scared Straight and never committed a crime again. That was one person. Here's a flashback. I don't even know how this is connected. I just saw it on here. Do you remember a little cartoon we used to watch when we were little called The Adventures of Fat Albert?
Yes, of course.
Apparently there was an episode about Scared Straight on Fat Albert.
I don't think it's Fat Albert. Fat Albert anymore because of Cosby.
Yeah, well. It was a good show, though.
It was.
And then they've satirized it on Saturday Night Live, Married with Children, Arrested Development. There's been a lot of The Boondocks. That's a great show.
Yeah.
And then there's just lots of references to it. Drake and Josh, apparently, had an episode called Steered Straight. I've never watched an episode of Drake and Josh.
Me either.
I feel like it was like we were too old.
Yeah, it was like a little younger for us.
But there was a Beavis and Butthead episode, and that was right on.
There you go.
Key
that's
for
right
us.
Up our alley.
Yeah. So that's Scared Straight. And in the show notes, there's a really interesting, who is this by the U.S. Department of Justice. There is a crime prevention research review about Scared Straight and other juvenile awareness programs that basically say, like, this is what we did do and didn't work. This is what we should try. So it's pretty interesting that they're kind of taking...
You know what? There's just like a random spin-off, but we should do an episode about programs like DARE, is what we grew up with, and then there's like more modern versions of it now.
You grew up with DARE. I didn't get DARE.
I think we did it in elementary school.
They started it, I went to the grammar school I went to, they started it the year after us, so we didn't.
But I think
so we just used all the drugs
of all these things, and if in the end they did anything.
I mean, not. I also think it probably depends on who was teaching the program.
Right.
You know, DARE is not for every police officer to go and teach in the school.
True.
Like not everybody's got that personality.
Relatable to the children is different than somebody who's talking down to them very sternly. Just like Scared Straight.
So reform schools, you started talking about it before. What used to be known as a penal institution, aka a prison, specifically for teenagers. Now there are still reform schools. A lot of people refer to it as like juvie hall or things like that. They still exist. We have a very large one in New Jersey. But overall, that's not necessarily the first place that a child would go. Usually there's many other diversion programs prior to having to go there, unless your first crime is very, very serious. But that's not really what these schools are supposed to be. But I think that name reform school has kind of taken on that meaning.
Right. Because there's like residential programs for children with mental health problems and things like that are focused one way. But then there's these like ones where you, like I said, get your kid kidnapped in the middle of the night and you pay lots of tuition for them to be tortured. That's a different type. I don't classify those things as the same.
Yeah. So the troubled teen industry, predominantly known in the U.S. as a full-ass industry, comprises residential youth treatment programs, wilderness programs, boot camps, and therapeutic boarding schools. Now, not every single one of these types of places has abuse or is bad, but enough of them have been that in general, they've taken on a really negative connotation. There's been many scandals, including child abuse, institutional corruption, and deaths. And obviously it's very controversial. And then in addition to their controversial therapeutic practices, many former residents report being forcibly transported to these facilities by teen escort companies, so those are separate from
they're
treatment.
Hired out mercenaries to kidnap you. Right.
It's a practice called gooning.
Gooning.
There's a name for it, yes. So this is interesting because I told you a couple of my episodes were inadvertently connected. Mm-hmm. The last episode I recorded, I talked about Synanon. Do you remember Synanon?
What was the last episode we did?
That's going to give it away. So Synanon was the cult that started off as the drug rehab program.
Yes.
So a lot of these troubled teen industries kind of came from that root of Synanon of doing this sort of group therapy, tough love, getting people to really confront their demons. But Synanon became a cult, and these troubled teen industry things didn't go the way they should have gone.
Right.
So that's an interesting connection to that. There's a lot of people so this one you've heard of, the Elon School.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So that was a big one. I want to say that was in Maine. Mm-hmm. And that was a big program that had a lot of issues. I believe there were multiple deaths there. And the Elon School closed down in 2011, which is not that long ago if you think about it. So a lot of the schools have actual therapeutic techniques. But then if we think about it, when you're hearing about this abuse, it tends not to be from the therapist. It tends to be from the residential staff, the other older children that are there, or usually on like nursing staff. It's usually not like the doctors, the head type people. They may know it and choose to look the other way, but it tends to be kind of those middle management level people that are getting involved in the things like false imprisonment, forced labor, kidnapping, strip searches, solitary confinement, all that kind of stuff.
It feels like it's like this power trip and then this hierarchy that falls below it. You know?
And that happens in the cults too, where those middle level people, if they want to stay in the good graces, they have to tell on the people below them or tell on their colleagues to have the people who are in power kind of keep their attention and keep them safe, you know? Mm-hmm. So a lot of that happens in these situations. Some of the biggest controversies or the biggest issues that happened was, so Scared Straight became an organization called Straight Inc. And that was when they had these camps and like more programs than just the Scared Straight documentary. And so at Tierra Blanca Ranch in New Mexico, authorities raided the place and found adolescents that had been shackled and handcuffed. Oh. And then they found a particular 19-year-old Fred Collins was falsely imprisoned. He initially visited with a family member Visiting a family member who was enrolled. So he went to visit a family member who was at this camp. And then his parents enrolled him in the camp, being like, well, your family member's there. They're doing well, so we're going to send you there. And he was kept in a windowless room for 6.5 hours a day, and the staff refused him to leave until he agreed to stay in the program. So he wasn't even fully in yet. He was just visiting. There's lots and lots of stories about forced labor. So we've seen this where people have to carry rocks outside for hours at a time or build things that they really don't have the training to do. Kidnapping. So the gooning, the teen escort service, had kidnapped multiple people. This one woman, Elizabeth Zaso, she was an emancipated minor who was kidnapped. So that, I think, for her actually worked in her favor because that violated her constitutional rights because she was no longer under her parents' control. Yeah. But they had enrolled her in the Challenger program that we just talked about. Torture techniques known as stress positions. Do you know what a stress position is?
I assume it's some sort of position that's not going to break a bone, but is very uncomfortable because there are therapeutic holds and ways that you in psychiatry.
Yeah, no, this is
this is meant So
this is being forced to walk on pebbles or things like that, or having to sit and squat in a certain area, having to stand for hours on end, things like that. Technically, I guess it's what was happening to Natalia Grace. Remember when we talked about that? How she had to stand in the corner for hours with her head against the wall? That would be considered a stress position. Many of the students in these facilities were subjected to strip searches, solitary confinement, and then there was psychological abuse where, they were told that their parents hated them and would never come and get them. One place did mock executions.
Okay.
Where students had to dig their own graves.
Okay.
And then were mock executed and were pushed into the grave.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So some real fucked up shit. Pardon my French for any children who are listening. You shouldn't be listening to us.
Yes.
A friend of ours told us that her youngin was listening and was like, they're cursing. I was like, damn right we are.
It says explicit, people. Read the label.
So many young people had died. One was the case of Kristen Chase, who died from heat stroke at the Challenger Foundation. That was a wilderness camp. What is peritonitis?
Inflammation of the lining inside your abdomen.
Okay. So peritoneum, is that a thing?
Yeah. Yes, peritoneum.
It's a word. I know a word. Yeah. So a particular young man died from acute peritonitis at another program. I feel like I vaguely remember that story where he was complaining of stomach pain and they thought he was making it up and they wouldn't get him medical attention. Then he died. Some other children had died of infections, died from complications due to infection. Symptoms were chronic urinary and fecal incontinence. So the staff forced him to eat his meals on the toilet and sleep in his soiled underwear as punishment.
Oh my God.
And then they said that he actually died technically from emphysema from that lung infection.
Oh my goodness.
And there was a partial collapse of his left lung. Now, they don't say exactly how old he is, but I'm imagining this is still a child.
Kid.
So for a child to suddenly develop emphysema, that's some pretty intense things happening to your body for that to happen. And then to pass away from that. Then there were some investigations of homicide where staff were being abusive and then people died. Asheville Academy is another place that is in North Carolina that was under investigation. And this was in response to a 13-year-old who was sent to the school who completed suicide at the school. And they said it was due to what she was subjected to. That I feel like could go either way because a lot of these kids who are sent to these places have serious mental health concerns that are not being treated. So this may have happened had she not gone to the school, but we don't know that for sure. Regardless, they weren't taking care of her there to keep her from doing that.
To keep her safe. Right.
Yeah. So there's a whole timeline, but this whole industry started in 1982 when Straight Inc. was founded in Florida and Nancy Reagan visited it. Not going to go political here. And
Wasn't she also on the Do Not Do Drugs? Isn't that her thing?
She was, yes. That was part. That was a big part of the Reagan administration was the war on drugs.
Yeah.
Agape Baptist Academy, that's another big one that we've heard about before. That was closed in 2023. Open Sky Wilderness was closed in 2024. Therapy was closed in 2024 after over 20 years of operation. Jeez. So there are places that are still in business, including Provo Canyon School, and that was where Paris Hilton had gone. So these things are not over by a long shot, but there are still, I feel like people are more aware of it now. And so hopefully more parents are cautious.
And understand more that like this isn't the proper treatment for what you're looking for. I mean, I do understand though that there is a part of things that are broken and that getting the mental health and behavioral health is actually the better term for teens specifically. I think that is a tough system and it's kind of disjointed of different, things that come together. So I guess it's desperation.
Yeah. I think the thing that really sticks with me when we look at all these stories and see all these documentaries and even the movie Wayward, they don't go too much into the parents' perspective.
Right.
For reasons, because it's part of the weird creepiness of that movie. How you suddenly realize there's no parents around. Where did all these children come from? That's another story for another day. I think the overwhelming evidence is vast majority of these parents did not know what was going to happen to their children. And that was not what they signed their kids up for. They signed their kids up for some discipline, maybe learn some new outdoor skills and to maybe get their acts together. They were signing them up for something a little tough, but they were not signing them up for sexual abuse, for torture, for physical abuse. They were not sending these children there for them to never come home because they died when this happened. So I think also putting in perspective, these were not bad parents. They were just misguided. And a lot of them were sold a false bill of goods. They were not told exactly what was happening there. And that's why I really like in This Is Paris, the documentary, where you get to see Kathy Hilton's side of it, because she's like, that is not what we were told would happen there. We would never do that to you. And I think because the two of them had never had that conversation, even though decades had passed, I think it was really healing. It was honestly, and like, they're both reality TV stars, but like that moment, you're like, no, this is real talk. Like this is
a real family.
This is them. This is a mother and a daughter connecting over a trauma. They've both been traumatized with this, and they're both now trying to move forward and say, like, it happened. We didn't want it to happen. How do we heal?
Yeah. And
I think another part of that documentary that's really touching is that this is kind of off on a tangent, but it is related. A lot of these kids are experiencing generational trauma. There's been trauma. Their parents had trauma. Their parents' parents had trauma. And each generation is just trying to do the best they can, but there's still some misguidedness. There's still some misunderstanding. There's still lack of communication, which is leading to these behavioral problems. These kids are not wiling out because it's fun. They're doing it because they're trying to communicate something that is not being heard. So that's what I got.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I assume that this is born out of, or at least this idea was born out of trying to accomplish something. I don't think it was born out of trying to abuse children.
Yeah.
But I think, the tactics just kept snowballing to get tougher and tougher, and they've just completely lost their way.
Well, and I think there wasn't necessarily the appropriate training for staff. They were hiring people who were misguided, who maybe had their own traumas and their own issues. And so there were a lot of mistakes at all levels along the way.
Yeah. And just now.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, before I forget, it will be in the show notes, but justice.org has a troubled teen industry abuse litigation group, where if you've experienced this, that is where you find information on how to be part of class action suits and litigation that's going on. Because now there are things on the books that are legal that say that these things cannot happen anymore. So if you've been victimized, you can be part of these larger lawsuits about stuff.
Yeah. I just feel like, in the end, a lot of this just created PTSD for them instead of fixing anything. It really didn't turn them around per se. It might have even driven them into worse behaviors.
Absolutely. And a lot of these kids, at least, in some of the smaller documentaries, you can tell these kids had been through some stuff before they even got to this camp.
Yeah.
Some of them had admitted to being through sexual abuse, through physical abuse, have been in homes where their parents were not in a place to take care of them well. And so that was why they were sent off to these places, because their parents just couldn't do it because of their own issues. And so I think it's larger than just one bad person starting a bad company.
Yeah. All right, people, do not send your children to these work camps / reform schools /
or if you're going to, do your research, really look into it, read the reviews, try to talk to families who have sent their children there, see if they have anything, because these things do exist. And like everything, not every single person or not every single situation is bad, but just be cautious.
Right. Well, I mean, the ones that kidnap you, I'm sorry, that's not.
I don't understand why anyone would ever think that's a good idea, but okay. I mean, I know there was this one, I think it was in the program, how the girl's father drove her there, but was telling her they were going someplace else. And it was basically because like he knew she was going to run away.
Right.
That part I get,
that.
But like getting kidnapped in the middle of the night from your bed. If you don't have trauma already, you're going to after that.
You're going to. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So yeah, that was a lighthearted, fun topic.
It was.
But my drink is delicious.
All right, people, make the drink, all right?
Make the drink. Make the drink, drink the drink.
I have to get some pear liqueur.
Pear brandy.
Pear brandy, sorry. Pear brandy. Okay. I have to pick that up. I have ginger syrup. So
well, there you go. You're a quarter of the way there. Because it's just tequila, brandy, lemon juice, ginger syrup, honey syrup.
I have
you're a fifth of the way there.
And I can make honey syrup. I'm sure
you're three-fifths of the way there.
I don't know what kind of tequila I have, if it's the right kind, but
I'm sure if you didn't have Blanco tequila, I'm sure any tequila would work.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for listening to Medical Media Mixer.
The perfect cocktail. Cheers.
Cheers. This is my non-alcoholic drink.
I was going to say, what are you drinking?
Olipop. It is probiotic and prebiotic soda.
Delicious. I got the probiotic soda from Trader Joe's. 2 thumbs up. It was good. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Medical Media Mixer podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps others find the show. Want to keep the conversation going? Follow us on social media. We're at Medical Media Mixer Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and on Pinterest, the Medical Media Mixer board.
If you'd like to support the show and help us grow, check us out on Patreon. Patreon.com/Medical Media Mixer Podcast. And on Buy Me a Coffee, buymeacoffee.com/Medical Media Mixer Podcast. If you have a topic idea, feedback, or just want to say hi, send us an email at medicalmediamixer@gmail.com. You can also stream all of our episodes and find more info on our website, medicalmediamixer.podbean.com. We're available on all major podcast platforms, so no matter where you listen, we're there. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep mixing medicine and media.